Hello, this is Lucy, and welcome to the Great Battles of History podcast. To get PDF versions of episodes, chat in the forums, or suggest a battle, you can visit greatbattlespodcast.weebly.com. You can also send me an email at greatbattlespodcast@gmail.com. Today, I have a battle suggested by Randy, the Emu War. I'm going to warn you in advance, the Emu War was weird. First of all, why is it called the Emu War? Well, it's hard to believe, but it was a war between soldiers and emus. Yes, emus. Okay, so what's an emu? If you didn't know, here are some important facts. Emus are flightless birds. They have a top lifespan of around 35 years. They are usually 5 to 6 feet tall. They can weigh up to 121 pounds and can sprint a good distance at 30 miles per hour. They can jump 7 feet into the air. They're also good swimmers. And by the way, an emu's body contains 3 gallons of oil. This oil is used in lotions and soaps. Our story begins at the end of World War I. Australian veterans were returning to Australia. The government was having a hard time finding things for them to do. A settlement policy was enacted, giving veterans plots of land where they were to become farmers, mainly farming wheat and sheep. Unfortunately, they were running out of space, so many veterans had to farm in the harsh land of Western Australia. Scientific American explains, quote, "Setting up a prosperous farm in a good area is no small feat, let alone in an area where the land is barely usable," unquote. Things got even worse for the veterans during the Great Depression. This is where the emus come in. In 1932, during the Depression, Australia was being ravaged by a drought. Emus were migrating from the center of the country, looking for safety, water, and, wouldn't you know it, wheat. These birds, which used to be a protected species, had been declared vermin in 1922 because they would raid wheat farms, eating wheat and trampling any that remained. So during the drought, the bird problem was especially bad for these farmers in the West. The farmers wanted to fight back. Now, these farmers had rifles, and they attacked emus whenever possible. There's conflicting information on how successful this was, but the result was the same. They wanted military help. They had fought in World War I, and they remembered its powerful weapons, namely machine guns. Now, they wanted to use them to kill emus. At the same time, they also had an ammunition problem. So, they decided to take the completely not weird approach and ask the government to send weapons. Definitely the normal thing to do. Surprisingly, the government consented, although they did send armed soldiers instead of just weapons, forbidding the farmers to operate the guns. They were making this an official military campaign. One writer suggested that this may have been propaganda, showing that the government was at least trying to help Australia's veterans. In October, Major G.P.W. Meredith arrived with 2 soldiers. This may not sound like a lot, but consider what else he brought. 2 machine guns and 10,000 rounds for them. Unfortunately, they were delayed by rain, so the conflict began in early November. A group of about 50 to 100 emus had gathered, and Meredith decided to attack. A few were injured, but the rest escaped. Later, a horde of 1,000 emus were spotted. Both machine guns were set up. The emus wandered by, and the guns fired. The birds panicked, and when the dust cleared, 12 had been killed. That's it. Meredith decided to try a different tactic. He attached one of the machine guns to a car and tried to use this to chase the speedy emus. This also failed spectacularly. The gunman was too busy trying to stay on the car to fire, and they could only chase one emu at a time. The emus were really hard to kill. During this time, one was accidentally killed by a truck, and when examined, it had 5 bullets in its body. Just to clarify, the bullets didn't kill the emu, the truck did. One veteran famously said, "There's only one way to kill an emu. Shoot him through the back of the head when his mouth is closed, or through the front of his mouth when his mouth is open. That's how hard it is." A newspaper called the Sun Herald remarked, quote, If we had a military division with the bullet carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks. They are like Zulus, whom even dum-dum bullets could not stop. Wait, what? Dum-dum bullets? Well, I found a police article about them, and the first line is, quote, "It will rip the arm from a normal, healthy human," unquote. I want to finish this episode with one more quote. In Parliament, someone asked if medals would be given out for this war. Another, though I can't find their name, said that any medals should go to the emus who, quote, "have won every round so far," unquote. If you like this episode and are wanting a good laugh, you can visit my website's collection page to see a comic by Corwin Briggs about the Emu War. I certainly enjoyed it a lot, and I hope you will too. Thank you for listening!